Hello fellow makeup lovers, how are you guys doing? Today we are going to do an entire swatch party of all of my single shadows from Shine by SD Cosmetics, which is a small indie brand, black owned brand based out of Canada. And this video is actually kindly sponsored by them. They asked me if I would do a video swatching all of my shadows from them. I love doing swatch parties. This is perfectly on brand for me, so I said yes, and that is what we are going to be doing today. If you are interested in purchasing anything from Shine by SD Cosmetics, I have a non-affiliate code, Amy Loves, that'll save you a little bit of money off, but let's just go ahead and jump right on in. Okay, first we have an iridescent multi-chrome called Halo. So I will say the texture of Shine by SD's shadows is overall, they are a little bit more on like the dry, soft side, but they look really beautiful on the eyes. Oh, there is Halo, which has a green to pink shift. Okay, next we have the iridescent multi-chrome called Luxie. This is the shade that I have on my inner corner today. I did just use it as is without a glitter primer or anything like that, and it showed up really well. It's a really beautiful green shift. But I feel like this formula, normally when I put it all over my lids, I like to use a glitter primer to help it stick a little bit better. This is another green to pink shift, but it's actually the exact opposite. Whereas this one in like the direct light looks pink and shifts green, this one in direct light looks green and shifts pink. And it also has almost like a tiny little bit of purple in it as well. It's super, super pretty. Okay, next we have the Infinity Iridescent Multi-Chrome. This one has a beautiful purple iridescence to it. The base is almost like a golden white shade, so you mostly just see purple. Now we have the Iridescent Multi-Chrome Chambers. This one has a beautiful purple to pink shift. And actually there's like a golden base as well. That one definitely looks like a true multi-chrome. Super, super pretty. Next we have an iridescent duochrome called Dynamic Gold. This one is definitely one of my favorites. It even has like a little dip going in it. It's a little bit more flaky, a little bit more loose in the pan, but it has such a beautiful golden shift and the texture is just stunning. I mean, look at that. Definitely would use a glitter primer for this one, but it's just so, so pretty on the inner corner. Okay, next we have the iridescent multi-chrome called Accelerate. And this one, I think it reminds me of Ray from Clionadh, if I'm getting it right. This is such a beautiful shade. It has a red and a green shift to it. Super stunning. Look at that. So beautiful. Red, gold, green, perfection. All right, the last iridescent shade we have is an iridescent multi-chrome called Charge. This one is really, really beautiful as well. It has like orange, yellow, gold, pink. I mean, it's mostly shifting pink front facing, but these shifts in that is stunning. And it doesn't really make me think of another shadow because it's like this ultraviolet pink, orange, green shift going on. It's pretty unique. So there's all of the iridescent shades swatched out. All right, next we're gonna go ahead and get into some blues and greens. So first we have the multi-chrome Chandelier. This one is a little bit looser to the touch and it has a really beautiful light blue with a purple iridescence to it and then also like kind of like a green shift going on as well. Super pretty. Switch that out a little better. All right, next this duochrome is called Brighten My Day. This one, again, is a little bit more loose in the pan. Some of them feel dry and they're still really like packed in, so it kind of goes back and forth between the different shades. But here's what Brighten My Day looks like. For some reason that shade's not wanting to stick to my arm. I have to swatch it a little bit harder, but there's what that one looks like. You can see the purple iridescence, the blue, the green going on. Not my absolute favorite formula. I prefer some of the other ones more. Okay, next we have the Keeping It Real duochrome. So this one feels very similar, again, a little bit looser. So it's kind of like you have to like press it in like this to get the shift to show up a little bit more. All right, so I'm just adding another layer just so you can see the color a little bit better. Okay, this next duochrome is called Extra. This is super pretty. It has like an emerald base with a shift of blue and periwinkle. The shift on that's super pretty. I feel like the swatches of those don't look the best on my arm, but like I said, I really prefer to use those type of shadows with a glitter primer, so maybe I could just try showing you that really quickly so you can see the difference. I'm just going to take a little bit of NYX glitter primer. I have shadow everywhere right now, but I'm just going to go ahead and put a little bit of that right here on my hand. I'll take a little bit of the shade we just did, Extra, and then just putting that over the glitter primer. You can see how pretty that is. It picks up more opaque, it sticks a little bit better. So that's what I like to do with those. Okay, next we have a highlight multichrome called Majesty. This shade is stunning. It has like a kind of like berry purple base with a super bright green shift. And there's also a blue shift going on as well. So there's Majesty. So stunning. We have the Chameleon multichrome called Ocean Dream. This one has a green and a blue shift, super textured. Look at that. Stunning. Next we have the shade that I am wearing all over my lids today. So this is a duochrome called Hurting Me, and this is so beautiful. I don't know if you can tell, but it has such a strong green to pink shift. Super pretty. I think it would look really beautiful surrounded by matte greens, but I just did like a very neutral shade throughout my crease and then just did this pop of green, and it's just so beautiful. Again, this one's just considered a duochrome, and it feels like the exact same texture as the other ones that I was doing. And it's, I mean, the swatch just isn't doing it justice. You can see it all over my lid. It's super pretty. So just keep that in mind. There's what that one looks like. Last green that we have to talk about. This is the Chameleon multichrome in the shade Intrigued. It feels a little bit smoother to the touch, and it has a, like, how do I describe this? It has like an emerald green to an olive green shift and like a little bit of blue iridescence going on. It's very interesting. It's definitely a darker multichrome, but it's really cool, the different green shifts going on. So there are all of the blue and green shades. Okay, next we have a multichrome called Icy. This is a really beautiful pink shade with a blue shift to it. It has a strong iridescence, which I really appreciate. I don't know if I would necessarily say it's a multichrome because I mostly just see pink and blue, and it has a little bit of that like looser texture to it. Super pretty all over the lids. Look at that. And then next we have a duochrome called Only for Today. This one right here. This is kind of like a coral base with a like light pink shift going through it. It's not that obvious because the base and the shift are similar in tone, but it is a cool color. Kind of see there. This next duochrome is called Poser. This is a really beautiful orange with a golden shift to it. Gives me like complete spring, summer vibes. And it, I mean, honestly, I guess flipped around, it kind of looks more coral. Just a very warm, pretty shade. Oh man, this formula does not want to swatch for me, but I'm trying my best. All right, there we go. Okay, this next shade is honestly the smoothest shadow I have from them. It is such a stunning multichrome. This is a Chameleon multichrome in the shade Pride, and this is like a red, orange, golden, just absolutely stunning shade. You're not ready. Look at that one. So pretty. I have a beautiful red. This is the shade Russet Red. And I mean, I guess I could show you up close. It's just a satin red. This is one of the prettiest, most pigmented satin reds I've ever used in my life. It's just amazing how pigmented this shadow is. And I really like this one for a pop of red on the lower lash line. So there's what that one looks like. Like I said, it's a true satin, which most of these other shades I wouldn't describe as satins, but that one is just so pigmented, just like a perfect true red, not pulling pink, not pulling orange. So we have a highlight multi-chrome in the shade Stargaze. This one's another really pretty one. It has a green base with a pink shift. Again, this one's a little bit more unique. The green is just super, super vibrant. Look at that. I mean, you can kind of see the green a little bit on your side. I'm going to be inserting clips as I go so you can see a little bit better, but it's just such a beautiful light multi-chrome. It actually kind of reminds me of the deep iridescent multi-chrome formula from Clionadh. Not in texture per se, but in the way that it looks. Okay, next we have a foil multi-chrome in the shade Melody. This one feels like a little bit thicker to the touch, and it has a really intense, like deep purple shift. And then there's also like a deep orange, a deep green, just a really, really cool shade. Okay. For some reason, these shadows just work so much better on the eye than the way that they're swatching out. You can kind of see it there. You can see it so much better on my finger, but there it is. Lastly, for this section, we have the classic multi-chrome in the shade Patient. This one is another deeper multi-chrome, a little bit softer, has just like a really deep black and purple base with a deep olive shift. Look at that. Again, super, super pretty. So there is the pink, red, purple kind of row. Okay, so the last few shades we have kind of ended up all together. We've got like some purple, some yellow, and then like this kind of cool tone shade. So I kind of just threw them in at the end, and we'll just go ahead and start. First one is a Chameleon multi-chrome in the shade Sweet Escape. The way I have shadow literally everywhere right now. This one has a like navy green base with a purple and an emerald shift. Super, super pretty. I mean, you can kind of see. I mean, dang. It reminds me of my favorite multi-chrome from Terra Moons. What's the name? What's the name? Oh, it's Alter Ego. That's the one that this reminds me of. Next, we have Chameleon multi-chrome called Cranium. This one is a very interesting color. It has like a deep gray base with like a platinum pink shift, I guess is how I would describe it. And then when you flip it, it has like a bluey gray. So it's not super obvious, but it is very, very unique. Here's what that one looks like. Okay, next we have this duochrome, which is called Jealous. This is a really beautiful yellow with like a light pink shift to it. Again, it's that soft duochrome texture that's not wanting to swatch as well for me, but I'm gonna still try. Rub it in a little bit. Kind of has like a pink and a blue shift to it. There is what that one looks like. And then next we have the duochrome in the shade Busted. This one I don't really see a shift as much. It just looks like a super bright golden yellow. Actually, I can see that pink shift kind of in the middle here. You can see it, but it's definitely more on the subtle side. Okay, this next duochrome is called Gold Burst Eyes. And it looks kind of funny because originally it had like splatters all through it, and now I've used it some and kind of mixed it up. But it is an interesting shade. It had a mixture of silver, blue, and gold. It doesn't run all the way through, so essentially you end up getting this shade right here, which is what I'm gonna mostly swatch, which is just like, kind of like somewhere in between a bright gold and an antique gold. There's what that one looks like. One last shadow. It's kind of an oddball. This is a duochrome called What Now? So this one is a lot smoother to the touch, and it has like a really deep brown base with a blue shift. It's kind of like your typical blue-brown pigment. So there's what that one looks like. Definitely very intense. So that is the final row of shadows from Shine by SD Cosmetics that I personally own. I'd also like to say they do have a reserve collection, which is really beautiful. It's a bunch of light iridescent shades, just perfection for the inner corner. I had them and I unfortunately lost them. I just don't know what happened to them, where they went, but if you're looking for another recommendation from Shine by SD, I do recommend checking that collection out in general. It's just perfectly me. So mad at myself for losing it, but that is everything for today's video. Thank you to Shine by SD Cosmetics for working with me and sponsoring this. I'll have everything listed in the description box in case you want to check them out, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.